Miami coming off a win against Virginia Tech 38-26. The Canes took a pretty sizable lead early, gave up some scores that made it a bit uncomfortable at 31-26, and then closed it out from there. There were periods of the game where it was just a downpour. So that affected the game. You could see that play after play after play after play, but that's part of the deal. That's part of football. So what first and foremost stands out to you about what worked and what didn't on Saturday?
Man, one of the biggest things that makes you excited is Miami has a quarterback. And Miami has a quarterback that is mixed well with Coach Red Lashley. And this system and this scheme, they just work well together. And it's nice to see a young man go out there and hit on some of those throws because there's been times where TBD has been just as aggressive. You look at the first half of Tallahassee, and it's resulted in interceptions or a little bit underthrown, a little bit overthrown, and things weren't connecting. But when TBD connects with these wide receivers deep early, he gets hot. He just knows where to go. And you have to start where the ball is snapped and sent to the QB, with my opinion, the MVP of the latter half of this season in Ja'Kai Clark. I mean, that young man stepping in to be our starting center after Corey Gaynor was injured and now is out for the rest of the season and is probably going to transfer. Um, Things have taken a big step in the right direction for the University of Miami offensively. And the main thing is being able to get at center, identify what's about to happen in front of you, and even an odd front, who's blitzing, where they're coming from, and being on the same page with your quarterback as opposed where he makes sure that he's not snapping or calling for the ball with his foot up until Ja'Kai is absolutely done giving all of his calls. I mean, there's plenty of times you'll see he'll go back down to a knee, hey, 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 and TVD let him do his thing. You know, hey, cut up, you got it. All right, give me the ball. You know, because that connection is very important to a regular fan. They're like, man, just block. You fat, I'm fat, just block. That's no. When you think about this, you talk about the best programs. Okay, the offensive line is very, very communicative. They make sure that we communicate so that you can't just destroy our, offensive line because or our running back or get to our QB because we know where you're blitzing from. We know where to step. We know Louis or Ringo. We know if we're going to do a pull, then we're going to half slide this thing and pull Navon around, but it's still play action. You have to be able to have that communication, not just the guy that goes out there and says, I'm going to do my job. Coach said, just snap the ball and step right and put my hand up, make sure nobody gets here, and I'm just going to do my job. Okay. Rambo, he is doing well. Charleston Rambo is his full name, number 11 for Miami at wide receiver, just cutting up. Early in the season, we didn't expect him. From what we were seeing, I can say I didn't expect him to blossom like this, but the deep passes, the now routes, the curls, slants, he's been able to unlock all of that. And we're able to mix it up to where we can go deep with him. He can also be our possession guy. He can also be our tunnel screen guy. He's just given us um, really good play at the wide receiver position consistently. He's also on a historical run. If he gets 92 yards this upcoming season, he will break um, the single season yardage record for the University of Miami. Now, think about some of the guys who played wide receiver here at the University of Miami, and he's already in conversation because he's one of only 5 Miami Hurricane wide receivers to have 1,000 yards in a single season. So, I mean, is he Reggie Wayne? Is he Andre Johnson? I don't know. But as far as what he's doing on Saturdays for Miami right now, he's playing big time ball. And we love to see it. Jalen Knighton is continuing his big playability. There are some things that we want to see a little different as far as not ramming him up the gut on 3rd and 1 at 182 pounds. So we saw that to close out the game. Miami got the ball back with about 3 minutes left, and they tried to run a very tired Jalen Knighton up the gut, and it wasn't working. They finally sub in the 6 foot, 240 pound Thad Franklin Jr. He gets in the game. He starts running people over, and you're able to milk the clock. Virginia Tech kept calling timeout, but we kept handing the ball to Thad Franklin, and he's making people miss and running people over and getting you tough yardage to get you a first down, a couple first downs to milk the clock and end the game with possession of the ball. You do that 2 weeks ago, we beat Tallahassee, but I'm not gonna go there. It's I'm hoping that and what he showed us, now he's gonna get more snaps because it hasn't made much sense that he doesn't get a chance to get the ball. But it's a win. There was some times in that game where I was very, very angry watching it. The latter half of quarter two and all of the third quarter was abysmal. Um, we gave up 227 yards rushing, 137 of that to a second string quarterback. Beggars can't be choosers when you have that kind of coach. But yeah, this dude, man. Mark, 227 yards on the ground to Vitek, 137 yards on a triple option. Anyway, um, they started to come storming in there. They did some fake punts, onside kick. I mean, you're playing a program built by Frank Beamer. Beamer ball and special teams is their thing. So they're going to do some of those things. We didn't look focused. We didn't look like we knew what was going on. So, you know, some of those things are going to no longer be around the program. So we'll get a different one. But for some of those people who like this, a win's a win. I'm not one of those guys, but we got it.
Yeah, we've talked about that in the past. And if you're a championship caliber program or aspire to be, then you set a standard. And regardless of who the opponent is, you rate and evaluate your play against yourself. And sure, you'll take the win, goes in the standings. But you understand, okay, if we continue to play like this and continue to make these mistakes, continue to give this type of effort, well, it's not good enough. And when we run into the right opponent, then they're going to show us that it's not good enough. So, yeah, the win is good. They did what they needed to do. They were challenged after they had a pretty big lead, got sized down to 31-26, that they did make the stops at the end and tack on a touchdown to give them some breathing room. Did have 4 sacks and 10 tackles for loss on defense, so they did get into the backfield.